Hello, my poets. Welcome back to Poetry 101. I don't even know what week this is. We're about to have some fun. Amplifying sentences is a term I probably made up. It means to take something simple and to expand on it with our words, to make it bigger, to make it more flowy, more poetic, more pretty, more confusing in some cases. But Taylor Swift is really good at this. Amplifying your sentences or amplifying a phrase or just even part of a sentence is a way to make your poem better. It is a way to grow and to change something basic into something beautiful. So Taylor Swift is really good at this. One of my favorite examples is from the song Maroon. Now, all of these sentences in the chorus are saying things without saying that thing. You'll understand what I mean in a minute. She says, "The burgundy on my t-shirt when you splashed your wine into me." She's saying, okay, he splashed wine onto me and my shirt was now stained with the wine, hence why it is burgundy. On my t-shirt, it is not a burgundy t-shirt. That one's easy enough. Now, the next one says, "And how the blood rushed into my cheeks, so scarlet it was." And if we're listening to not the first chorus, she finishes it with maroon. Scarlet, another shade of red, and blood rushing into your cheeks is what happens when you are blushing. Again, pretty easy to understand, but she's not saying, hey, you spilled wine onto me, it made me blush. Instead, she has chosen to say, "The burgundy on my t-shirt when you splashed your wine into me and how the blood rushed into my cheeks. So scarlet." Okay, our next sentence, we have "the mark you saw on my collarbone." This could be one of two things. It could be like abusive or love. That's what the mark could be. Don't know which one it is. Next, she continues to say, "the rust that grew between telephones." Now, this is the sentence I think of when I think of amplifying a sentence. So, the rust that grew between telephones. So, telephone lines. I picture like the two lines here and there's like the string in the middle. A basic imagery, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, cool. Rust between the two of those. Now, telephone lines are used for communication. When there is rust between the two of those, it implies that the communication has stopped, that there has not been talking for a while. The rust that grew between telephones is a sentence of her saying, we didn't talk. We stopped talking. There was silence. And the way she chose to say it was the rust that grew between telephones. That's like a really smart way of saying something like, it's like saying something has a layer of dust and you automatically assume, okay, it hasn't been used in a while. If something is covered with a layer of dust, you assume it hasn't been used. And so like if I'm reading a book or a poem and it says everything's covered in a layer of dust, I'm like, okay, this place has been untouched and undisturbed for quite some time. She's saying that, but for communication, with imagery that evokes, okay, telephone poles are used for communication. It's the wires that carry cell signals or something. I don't know. That's what she is saying, but that's not what she said. This is what I mean when I say I really like amplifying sentences. Let's go to another example, this one from her song Invisible String. So she says, "Time, curious time, gave me no compasses, gave me no signs. Were there clues I didn't see? And isn't it just so pretty to think all along there was some invisible string tying you to me?" So the idea is, okay, it's as this time while I was struggling or fighting or searching, isn't it pretty to think that while I was struggling, these things were happening that led me to you? Her then boyfriend is who she's talking about. I like that. This first one says, "Time, curious time, gave me no compasses, gave me no signs." It meant that nothing around her at that time said, hey, your future person is coming. He's on his way. Hey, he's actually heading here now. Hey, you can't, I mean, the string is invisible. Invisible means you can't see it. She's saying there is no indicator that anything was coming down the road that would lead to happiness. There was no compass that could point me in the right direction and guide me. There was no sign showing me where to go. There was nothing. Yet, in that time when I was sad and when I was struggling, when I was wanting, isn't it nice to think that someone was on their way? Again, this one's more basic than the maroon one. The next one, chorus 2, "Time, mystical time, cutting me open, then healing me fine. Were there clues I didn't see? And isn't it just so pretty to think?" Etc., etc. So, mystical time. Instead of curious, because she can't understand it, but she's enthralled with the idea of trying to understand it, she's now calling it mystical. Now it's magic. It holds some sort of power she can't understand. And she's okay with not being able to understand it because it's magic, it's mystical. She says, "Cutting me open and healing me fine." This is such a pretty way a brutal way. Cutting me open is like heavy language. To think of being hurt by something that happened in the past and then having time pass and healing from that. That's, again, a basic idea. Time hurt, I grew. That's what she's saying. This thing hurt, time passed and I grew. And isn't it funny to think how that's sort of like magic, how we don't understand this, but that's how it works. Next, after that, we have the bridge. She says, a string that pulled me out of all the wrong arms right into that dive bar. Something wrapped all of my past mistakes in barbed wire. Chains around my demons, wool to brave the seasons. One single thread of gold tied me to you. So she says the string, the invisible string, she didn't know why she was there. She might have not been there, but because the string was pulling her, which again invokes a lot of imagery of a literal pool, she walked into a dive bar where she met the person she is singing about. And then she says, something wrapped all of my past mistakes in barbed wire. So she said, again, that thing that cut her open and healed her fine, it's now revealed that the thing that, even though she is healed, she now has a defense mechanism, barbed wire, all around her. In a different song, she references that someone put, in a different song, Tolerate It, she references this same theory and idea, where's the man who'd throw blankets over my barbed wire? She's saying, okay, because of the circumstances of my past, I became prickly, I was hostile, and someone found a way to move past that to actually get to know me and love me despite that. Chains around my demons. So demons are things you can't really control. This is her way of saying, but I put them into control. It wasn't these things controlling me. Instead, it was these things that were shoved away. They were held tight, they were captive to something else, and they were moved away. Wool to brave the season. So she said, instead of just, something, I think of it this way. Instead of when the winter season comes, instead of just becoming numb to the cold or just bracing it stubbornly and hoping you survive the frostbite, she said, no, this new thing I have is like putting on a wool coat that will protect me from that. And then she says, one single thread of gold tied me to you. And that showing her, now that she has met this person, she sees the invisible string tying her to him is no longer invisible to her because she can see it. It is now gold because she cherishes it and she sees it there, even though it's not a physical thing. It's more of, oh, all of these things that led me to you, I can see that they led me to you, and now I'm thankful for it. And the last one, now that she's in the relationship, she says, time, wondrous time. She's calling it wonderful. She loves it. Gave me the blues and then purple pink skies. And it's cool, baby, with me. And isn't it just so pretty to think, all along there was some invisible string tying you to me. Wondrous time. It is wonderful now that she has what she wants. She sees that all of the pain was worth it because it helped her grow to get to here. She says, it's cool, baby, with me. It's fine that it happened. Also, it's kind of like the idea of, okay, now that you're with me, now that we are together, everything feels a little bit better. It feels more manageable. It's cool. It is better together. And then it's kind of her remarking to him, isn't it just so pretty to think all along there was a string tying us together? Again, it's kind of basic at times. It doesn't have to be this, wow, this is such a big idea, but like, it is. It's taking something small and making it a bigger idea. So for Maroon, we didn't talk. The rest that grew between telephone poles. It's taking one idea, we didn't talk, to two things. Without talking, we're not using our phones, we're not using the telephone wires, to thing number 3, our final sentence. There's rust between the telephone poles because they haven't been used because we've stopped talking. But then you take that, all of that information, and you just simplify it down to the rust that grew between telephone poles. That is Amplifying Sentences according to Taylor Swift and me. If you like this video, please give it a like. You can watch the full playlist here, subscribe here. I will have another one next week. I hope you have been writing, my poets. I'm so excited to see what y'all have been writing. Share that with me on my Instagram, @officialjustinstrikes. Thanks so much for watching.